Hey guys and girls, how are you doing today? Peter here, and recently I've been hearing people complain about their financial situation after the holidays and while waiting for their next paycheck, how they can't really manage their finances. And also, people complaining about the lack of time is pretty much a constant issue. So, I wanted to share one of my favorite models that can really help you with both of those problems, and this is zero-based budgeting. So zero-based budgeting is originally a financial concept, and companies use that to basically reduce their unnecessary spending. So zero-based budgeting, instead of basing their next budget on the previous year's or the previous period's spending, they start from scratch and draft all the necessary expenses that they need for each of their functions. And what this does is it really cuts out any unnecessary spending, and the company doesn't assume that just because they are spending money on something, they really need to be doing that, which is really key. And you can also apply this to your personal life and to different parts of it. For example, the ones we're going to discuss in this video, personal finance and time as well. So, how can you do that? Well, I would say there are pretty much two approaches that you can go. So let's check each of them. So for personal finance, one of the approaches I would say is you can start by grouping your spending into several pools and start with that. For example, the first one, I would recommend you put your savings account. You can also put like an investment account, your education account, and things like that which relate to your long-term goals, let's say. It's up to you, but I'd recommend you put this first. Then in the second group, you can put things such as paying your rent, paying for your car, buying food, other transportation costs, paying debt, paying your bills, and things like that, which basically you need to budget money for. And in the third group, you can put things such as entertainment costs, going out costs, going to the cinema, and any other recreational activities or things that you like to do. And after you have made these groups and have put a fair price next to them, for the first and second group, you should be relatively knowledgeable of what the amounts should be. So when you add all this up, you compare it to what you make for the specific period. Usually it's for 1 month, let's say, and if that amount is higher, basically you need to cross out things from that third group. And the thing here is that you can also always do that. So there is also always something you can take out of that third group in order for your budget to match what you actually make. And if you don't want to do that, you can find usually cheaper alternatives for third group, or you can maybe reduce some of the spending in the other groups. And that's the first approach. And the second approach I can say is you basically make a list of all your spending pools. So simply list all the things that you spend money on, and then simply cross out things that you don't want to be spending money on anymore. And there are always things that you can cross out because there are always people living cheaper than you. So that's something you can always do. And you can keep that list with you, maybe on your phone or simply on a piece of paper. And when you're out and you're about to buy something, you check the list and you can say, okay, I've removed that with my zero-based budgeting technique, so I'm not spending money on that. That's not really something I need. And that's the second approach I would say you can try for personal finance. And in terms of time management, you can always also use that technique. It's the same to some extent, but also a bit different. So let's go through the two options for time management as well. So the first one that you can go is you can basically start proactively to think about what you want to spend your time on. So for example, you can start, okay, I have to spend like 8 hours on work. Then I want to spend 2 hours studying. I want to spend 2 hours with my family. I have to spend like 1 hour cooking or eating, or I want to spend 1 hour resting and so on, or 7 hours sleeping, something like that. So basically proactively you are distributing your time throughout the day and you're not providing for anything unnecessary. And this is one of the zero-based budgeting techniques that you can use. And when your day actually starts and you see what happens, maybe it's not going to go perfectly according to plan. There are different reasons for this. Some of them I discuss in another video, which is the gray area. You can check that one out as well. But with time you can become better at that, and you can really budget out things that you don't want to spend time on. And the second approach that you can use for time management is listing all the things that you do throughout the day. So for example, you wake up at 8 and you list all the activities and how much time you spent on them throughout the day until you go to bed. And after you check that list, you're going to see that you're spending time on things that you don't really want to be spending time on. They can be different things that you just end up doing for some reason during the day, and some of them you might enjoy or might consider a break or a reward or something, but many of them you will see that you are simply doing out of habit or for some other reason that's not really clear, and you will see that you're not really getting any satisfaction of them, but simply doing them. So what you need to do is, again, cross those things that you don't want to be doing anymore and that you don't want to spend your time on. And again, keep that list with you. And for example, the next day, it gets to 11 o'clock in the morning, and at that time, for some reason, you're watching cooking videos on YouTube or something else, and you check your list and you see, okay, I'm doing that out of habit. I don't really get any satisfaction from this, nor do I rest or anything. So cross that out and don't do it. Of course, it's not easy to break a habit, but that's a good starting point. And what that does is basically you free up time slots throughout the day, and you create time windows for things that you really want to be doing, be it working, studying, resting, or doing something else. And if you are struggling with finding time for things, you might want to do that like from time to time, for example, every couple of months or every half year or something like that. Just check your whole day and what activities have piled up there, and make that like zero-based budgeting technique of removing things that don't really add value to you or don't give you any satisfaction or things like that. And you will always be able to take off something off your schedule and free a time window for yourself. So that's really the value of that approach, that you can always take something out or prioritize something against the other things. That's basically what I wanted to share in this video. I hope you've enjoyed it and it was useful for you. And if you've watched the video up to this point, give it a like. And if you think someone else will find this information useful, share the video and leave a comment below with your experience about this. And thanks for watching. See you next time.